Okay, well, my hair's not going to pay. Oh well. Right, let's get started. Welcome back to some more gaming news, and let's start with probably the best news of the week, and that is that Digital Homicide, the studio I talked about in my last episode as the studio that was suing Jim Sterling. The case was going on. It has finally, and I say finally, been dismissed. When I say dismissed, I mean Digital Homicide actually, or James Remine, actually filed for a dismissal of the case with prejudice, which means that they cannot sue Jim Sterling for the same thing again. And this is really good news. It is good news for games commentators, it is good news for freedom of press, it is good news for people who value any sort of credibility in criticism of media products, because it means that you can't sue someone for their opinion, which is always a good thing, let's be honest. In a statement, Jim Sterling said, "For those curious about this resolution, I was not a direct part of communication between Romine and my lawyer, but as I understand it, the agreement to drop the suit with prejudice was the result of Hartiman's, his lawyers presumably, enviable reasoning ability. The plaintiff agreed to drop his case after my lawyer explained exactly what would happen if this went to court and how we would respond." He then goes on to say that it got as far as it did, went on for as long as it did, is atrocious, especially when this is a case that amounts to a game developer wanting to silence a game critic. He has since gone on to say that he's just sort of very drained by the whole thing, not happy, well, he is happy with the result, but just kind of annoyed that it was a thing in the first place, which I understand. And, you know, I think we've all been waiting for this day and we're glad that it's come. Nintendo get quite a few bits of news today. That is mostly because their new console's coming out in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. Not that you'd notice really from what's going on. There's barely anything. I don't hear about it on TV. I only really hear about it through other commentators on YouTube and that kind of thing. There's very little actual data I've heard about the Switch other than all this kind of stuff. But there are actually things going on with it. And the first of those is that the Virtual Console, the store for Virtual Console stuff, will not be online when the Switch gets launched. So what Nintendo is saying basically is this. All of the games that are on the Wii U store at the moment and 3DS store as part of their Virtual Console thing are not going to be on sale when the Switch launches. They're not going to be transferred over immediately, and you're not necessarily going to be able to buy them. And this probably will continue a trend of Nintendo of being really shitty about releasing their past games. The statement by Nintendo on the fact was very sort of vague and not very informative. It basically said, it's not going to be available on launch, we will share more information in the future. Which isn't the best sort of statement that you can give to sort of ease concerns that quite a few people now are actually starting to have about the Switch. However, they did also go on to say that any games that you buy on your Switch is now tied to your account and not to your machine. That means basically any game that you buy, if you buy another Switch or have to replace your Switch or get another, go to a friend's house and anything like that, you log on to any Switch machine and the games that you have bought with your account are going to be able to be downloaded onto that machine rather than just this machine here, which is a fear a lot of people actually had, and that is very good news, to be honest, because, you know, we wouldn't want a situation where you buy a Switch, it might break 5 years down the line, maybe not even that, and you've just lost all the games that you've spent, I don't know, maybe hundreds of pounds on. That wouldn't be the best scenario in the world, and I think Nintendo would get quite a lot of shit for that. In other Switch-related news, The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus, which is a great game and available on most sort of devices now. You can get it on PC, you can get it on PS Vita, you can get it on 3DS, and you can get it on PS4, I think. So yeah, go buy The Binding of Isaac, that's a really great game. The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus, so it's basically the game and both the expansions, was supposed to be a Switch launch title, and that's now been delayed. Don't know why, there wasn't any particular reason given. The only reason that we've had, or the only reason we really know about this, is because of GameStop, who cited unspecified delays. If this were a new game, I might be able to understand a bit more about it not being ready on time, because, I don't know, maybe it's just a bit of tweaking was needed, or just a bit of extra sort of zhuzh to make it a bit nicer. But this is a port of a not very young game anymore. The expansion Afterbirth Plus itself is relatively young. It came out about 2 to 3 months ago. But the game itself is at least 3 years old now, I think. It's getting on for 3 years old. So the fact that this is being delayed is... There's also reports that Zelda Breath of the Wild doesn't actually look much worse or play much worse on the Wii U. If there was ever a reason to not buy the new console over the old one because Zelda Breath of the Wild is coming to Wii U, that may well be that reason. I'm much more tempted as it stands to get Breath of the Wild on Wii U and not get a Switch for a year, because that is basically a wiser investment at the moment. The final bit of Nintendo Switch news is a bit of a strange one. It may not be news on the launch consoles, which is actually March the 3rd, so that's next week. Pre-release consoles, so ones handed out for review, have been having issues with connection on one of the Joy-Cons, the little controllers that you pull off and put on the thing. Specifically the left-hand one, or as you're looking at it, that hand. This hand for me. That's not a good thing, but that may just be because they need a firmware update. There's going to be a firmware update day one maybe. Hopefully they're going to fix that. I really hope they're going to fix that, because if that's still a thing in about a year's time, they're not going to sell many Switches. It's going to be another Wii U, and this is what's happened with the Switch. I don't want to rag on about the Switch. I don't want to be sort of awful about it. When it was announced, I thought it looked really awesome. I really wanted one, because they advertised it well and it looked really a sort of fun thing. And as it's gone on, I've just been made increasingly skeptical about it. There was a bit when they did their sort of press event thing, and one person I know and someone I follow on Twitter went to use it, or actually went to test it out, and they both said it was actually quite good. But if it's doing things like this, as I say, hold out. In other slightly older news, Pokemon Go has had an update and finally released 80 new Pokemon. These are Johto Pokemon, so they're from the 2nd generation. And I'm really struggling to muster the effort to care. When Pokemon Go came out, I played it and it was quite fun at the time. There was a lot of connection issues though. And then it got real boring real quick. I'll be honest. That's just my opinion. If you enjoyed Pokemon Go, all power to you. But it wasn't for me at all. It's not my kind of thing. I prefer to sit down and actually just play a Pokemon game. In fact, I've got one on my desk. It took them, well, getting on for a year nearly, about 9 months to release these Johto Pokemon on that. It shouldn't be that difficult. It should not have taken that long. I don't know why it took that long, but as we know, the player base died after a month, and it was down by about 80-90%, and people still play it, good for them, but I won't be joining in, I'm afraid. I won't be catching my Cyndaquils and my Totodars anytime soon. Now, to some positive news. Let's be cheerful, please. Let's be cheerful about something. The new Crash Bandicoot remaster may not actually be exclusive to PlayStation 4. As someone who doesn't own a PS4, this is news I welcome very much, although with the release of Horizon Zero Dawn, there are an increasing number of reasons for me to want to get a PS4, because they're now getting pretty darn cheap, so I might actually pick one up at some stage. It was sort of revealed in a Twitter exchange this week that it was sort of like a very vague, cryptic suggestion that Crash Bandicoot Remaster may not be exclusive to PS4. PlayStation of Ireland replied to a tweet stating that it would be exclusive to PS4. That tweet was captured and put on NeoGAF because that's how all these things work, and the tweet has since been deleted with a new message correcting what it originally claimed. To clarify our earlier post, this will be coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Pro first. Now, first, I got a first comment the other day, that was really stupid. That first implies to pretty much everyone with a brain that it will be coming to somewhere else. Now, whether that is to Xbox One, whether that is to Vita, no, or whether it will be to PC, please, that's unknown. There's no indication other than that tweet as to where it might be going, but that's really promising because Crash Bandicoot's really good. I have actually got Crash Bandicoot on PlayStation 1 downstairs, and why not? It's a good game. I really want to see it on another platform other than PlayStation. I'd love for other people to be able to experience it because not everyone wants to go back and buy a PS1 and the game, because the game's about 30 quid still now, and a PS1's what, still 10, 15 quid, or a PS2 is about 25 quid. I'd love to be able to just see the game up on Steam or something for 20 quid and people will be able to experience it, because Crash Bandicoot is, while very dated, and I'm really hoping they update quite a bit of it, it is a classic. It's one of those games and it's sort of a landmark in gaming history that a lot of people need to experience, so here's hoping for that. And on that note, I shall leave you. That was gaming news for this week, and I hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to see my last gaming news, you can watch that there. If you want to subscribe to me, you can watch that. You can do that there. Actually, no, you can subscribe there, watch last week's there, but what you can do is watch this Wednesday's video, which was on Hidden Folks, which is a very fun game that you should all go and play. You can watch that there. So that's all for gaming news, and thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.